Welcome to this episode of Ask the Guitar Coach, the only podcast where you get answers to all your guitar-related questions. If you're interested in developing your guitar skills and reaching your music goals, please send me an email at the email address ioannis@ioannis.org. That is ioannis@ioannis.org, so that I can let you know about all the different packages of elite guitar coaching and how you can get private coaching by me. Without further ado, let's go to our question for the day. Is using guitar tabs bad for you? So there we have it. The perennial question, is using guitar tabs bad for you? Should you be reading music from music notation? That's a question that I've been asked almost every week for I don't know how many decades now, and the answer, in my opinion, is quite simple. It's really not bad for you. Tablature is just a way to get the music off the paper and on your fingers, so there's nothing wrong with that. Now, under certain circumstances, it might be suboptimal for specific kinds of music, but it's never what you would call bad. Let me explain. So for an electric guitar player that plays rock music or progressive metal or even blues, then all the literature, let's say, all the songs are transcribed in tablature. There's not even 1 out of 100 will be transcribed only in notation and not in tablature. Once again, this is for rock, for metal music, for progressive music, and also for a lot of blues music. So if you play one of those styles, you definitely, absolutely need to be able to read tablature, and there's nothing wrong with that, because this is how you're gonna get the music from the paper and into your fingers on the guitar. However, if you play classical guitar, then it's very important to be able to read music notation, because most of the musical literature is written in notation. So if you don't know how to read music notation, you are not going to be able to play most of the literature of the classical guitar, because you're not going to be able to understand it from the paper. So if you play classical, knowing how to read music is important, and knowing how to read tab is much less important. Now, there are a few hundred pieces that have been transcribed in tablature, but once again, the vast majority of the musical literature for classical guitar is written in standard notation. Finally, let's see about jazz. Now, jazz is kind of an in-between kind of thing when it comes to the notation. There is a lot of jazz guitar music transcribed for tablature, and also a lot of jazz guitar music transcribed only for notation. So there it's kind of middle of the road. The best idea would be able to use both. Once again, there's nothing wrong with using tablature, but it just might limit you a little bit, or more than a little bit, just because you're not going to be able to play those things that are only transcribed in musical notation. So I really hope I'm not overcomplicating this. It's very simple. There's nothing wrong with tablature, and there's nothing wrong with musical notation either. Tablature is just an easy way to get music off the paper, as I've mentioned several times, because it uses numbers, which is something that we know since we're like 4 or 5 years old. So there's nothing wrong with that. But for specific music styles, it might make more sense to be able to read music, and this is the way you're going to learn the musical compositions. So there you have it. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you on the next episode of Ask the Guitar Coach. Bye bye.